It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome everybody to Postcode Stories. Postcode Stories are being presented tonight by 7 members of ACT UP Newham. ACT UP Newham are our associate drama company. This is our 10th annual festival, and looking back, I remember first meeting ACT UP in 2012 as part of our summer festival celebrating the Paralympics in Newham. They were already a wonderful company with the most amazing gift of being able to pop up anywhere. You know, we're very much a pop-up arts organisation, and we're currently popping up in your own home. ACT UP Newham can pop up at, in a wonderful theatre, but they can also just make a theatre out of a community centre, or really just about anything. You know, I could see how gifted they were. They make very, very powerful work based on their lived experience. And I'm really delighted that over the last 9 years, ACT UP Newham has become a community interest company. It's received funding from a number of different bodies, including Arts Council England. They've been working with professional directors. They've been in the West End. And we'll hear more about that in the discussion. They really are a wonderful company. We couldn't be more proud of them and more proud of presenting the Postcode Stories tonight. Postcode Stories are something... Well, we hear a lot about postcodes, and not in a very positive way, which again, I think is something else we can discuss later. There are many positive things about living in Newham postcodes, but there are also some negative things. And I would like to just flag up, we will say it again, but Pritesh Patel's story does come with a trigger warning. It does look at around, inevitably, subjects around stabbing and crime. So if you're feeling sensitive, or you feel that's not for you, perhaps just go and get a cup of tea while Pritesh's film is showing, and come back and chat to him about it afterwards, because, we really welcome these discussions. Everybody's view is really, really important. So I'm wondering if Stera Plurger might be ready to introduce the very first film.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I have a dog called Merlo. And me and Merlo, we made a story. I made a film about cycling over the green way. And Merlo, the dog, was running, and I made the film because the dog and cycling on the greenway makes me happy.
So without further ado, Hannah, do you want to tell us something about the making of Postcode Stories?
Well,
behind the scenes tonight.
Yes, let me know. There was a lot of feeling amongst the ACT UPers that we should do something a little bit different to making films on Zoom, because that had been done quite a lot over the pandemic by us. So they came up with different ideas of how to tell the different stories. I don't know if anyone from ACT UP wants to talk about how we made their films. Let's see who that is.
Could we start with Arwa? Would you like to tell us more?
Yeah.
So, I we feel that some of the community don't really like understand disabled people, and they sometimes treat us like we are little babies. And it is not fair on us because we are people too. Yes, we talk funny. Yes, we walk a certain way. No, we are normal people living normal life, and we work, and some of us we live on our own, and we go shopping. We see our friends. We go to church. We see our family. So we are normal people, and some people need to treat us that way and don't look down on us like we are helpless. But God forbid, we are not helpless. We are good people. We live. I don't know how to.
I think you said it beautifully in your film.
Yeah.
It was really clever because we got all of the normal stuff with you going shopping, and then we got all of it treated differently. You know, we're seeing ourselves as normal, we're just going shopping, and easier is, well, you must be begging, or you must be a handout, or oh bless, you need some money. And it was funny as well. I thought it was a very, very clever story. Well, thank you. And it also showed us, as everybody did, you know, different parts of Newham as well, which I have to say, as somebody who's not left the house since last March, it's really nice to see the footage as well. But for anybody who doesn't know Newham, I think we all kind of got introduced to these different postcodes. Jane, do you want to tell us something more about your story? Because again, I thought it was a very, very kind of, yeah, it was a very kind of not exactly typical experience, but this idea that we can't even be mobile in our own homes, and we can't have friends in our own homes, and what difference it makes when you have an accessible home.
Yes, I think that accessible accommodation should be more accessible to people who need it. And I had to fight for my accommodation, and it was bad and sad, and it made me feel like less of a person. It made me feel like I was asking for more than what I should, and I'm happy that.
Yeah, and of course, all you were asking for is exactly the same that everybody else expects. But again, I thought it was beautifully told, Jade, very evocative, and like I say, very much, as with so much, everything that ACT UP does, you base it on lived experience, but you've got the absolute key to that work, which is to make it universal, make it something that you know, lots of disabled people can relate to, but I think also those feelings of being ignored and being made to feel less worthy are feelings that all sorts of people have, whether they're disabled or not. I'm wondering, Grace, if I could come to you next. I was so interested that you took the refugee puppet and told her story, because of course we've always, in fact, we always have had, from the moment Newham was built, lots of refugees in the population. We've got lots of refugees at school. And I think it's very difficult for people to sort of make themselves vulnerable and tell those stories, and sometimes to take the position of a storyteller and tell those stories for them. What inspired you to do it?
What inspired me was because obviously when Hannah was talking about the little puppet of Amel girl, and at first that there was no information about her, and that I didn't we knew about her. We knew about she was traveling like from UK to elsewhere, but we didn't know the background of her. So I decided to do it because I felt like, that to me it's something big and inspiring for me. And then I feel like with every kid that is going through, being taken away by their parents and they don't understand why, I feel like, that I feel like every kid have a voice. I feel like every single kid has a voice, and I feel like what I did the story for little Amel, and what she wrote about her life. I feel like it made her feel. I can tell it made her feel sad, but at the same time, like it's not easy for her, because it's like, why am I taking from my mom? Why me? Why can't you just left me? Why can't you just take me and my mommy? But why me? And I understand that tumultuous and that sadness, the confusion. And I feel like every kid don't deserve to be taken away from their parents. And it happens in every country, Africa, you name it. And I feel like every kid has a voice, and I feel like, whatever happens to them, they should deserve to know the truth.
Thank you, Grace. And again, I think it's very much the role of the storyteller to tell other people's stories. Stara, I'm going to come to you next. I found your story, because I have an assistance dog, absolutely gripping, but of course it had all of the drama. Again, it was a beautifully told story. You've got a lovely afternoon and you're cycling away, and oh my goodness, the dog's gone. Are you ever going to see it again? And then everybody's looking. What do you want?
All the people were coming to help me, and I was happy. I was meeting people, but I was crying because it was very difficult. The dog, it's very difficult if the dog is gone. Happy. But you're happy. And you're happy when he came back. Or was it a true story? No. No. Did you make it up? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad in a way, because I'm glad you didn't have to go through that. But I mean, I don't think I've ever lost my dog, but I could still imagine exactly how it felt like, Stara, when you were telling that story, So, and again, it was lovely to see the Greenway, because the Greenway is such a kind of key feature of Newham. And I love the way the stories come together. Sorry, Stara.
They were saying that she was happy because she made a song about the Greenway. She made the song about the Greenway for the film.
Yeah, I really liked the singing.
That was really good.
So I'm going to come on to Pizer now. Pizer, I loved your story. Do you want to tell us a bit more about what inspired it? Oh, you're on mute at the moment.
In my experience, bus stop is one of the place where people meet and they talk about their issues. Even if they don't know the person, they just like to express themselves, how difficult life is, how the lack of help, the lack of equipment, the lack of benefit, and so forth. And from the bus stop, you get a lot of news and all the bad things that happen to themselves. And then going in the bus, they can't talk really in the bus now, so they get together at the bus stop and talk about their problems. Also, it's very true that elderly people are suffering a lot because now the council tends to cut the number of hours of help when they really need the help. They need someone to get them stressed, prepare their breakfast, or help them shopping, carry their shopping, and so forth. So I think the council should pay more attention to the elderly people. That's their last part of their life. They should lead a comfortable life instead of living in the dark, living without heating, living without warm water, living without equipment. So I really stress that elderly people need more help and more concern by the social workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Pisa. The pictures were beautiful. Did you draw the pictures?
Beg your pardon?
Did you draw the pictures in the film?
Yes, I did. I mean, I didn't really know how it will go on videos because I need someone else to take the video. So then Hannah said, do some painting. So I did the paintings 2 in a day, or I did last minute, so the painting was not really good, not up to the standard, but it just managed to send the messages through how the elderly people look so upset and so miserable, and how to get to Dockside and what we can get at Dockside. So I just managed to get the key issues and the key messages to other people.
Well, you certainly did. And I thought the drawings and paintings were beautiful and so powerful. And in everybody who used them, it's such a powerful storytelling technique. So, Pritesh, I liked your pictures.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about your film?
Picture is painting and find policeman and boy.
Yeah, they were great, Pritesh.
Yes.
And Glory, you did a lot of pictures for yours as well.
Right,
You want
yes.
to put your microphone on and just tell us about it?
Yeah. All I was doing my picture about me eating my chicken and chips is that I was seeing something on the street in Custom House, which is where I'm going to live in the future. That means I'm going to live in number 6 Pacific Road, Custom House, E16, blah blah blah. In the future, next to number 8, where my friend Modestine lives. Then I was looking at the girls running to kidnap a man, and then they went to climb over the wall. Then the police came to catch them to the basement. Then arrest them. Then take them to jail and tell the truth while they're cutting the woman's hands like that.
Well, I thought that was a very well told story, Glory, and I liked. Well, I think it's unfortunately a very typical thing that we witness violence without meaning to, but yes, is it part of street entertainment? No, I don't think so, but still. So we're rapidly coming to the end. So I just want, before I read some of the comments from the audience, I just want to say that the Postcode stories will, I believe, Hannah, be on the ACT UP YouTube channel?
Yes.
They will be embedded in the event page, and we will also have this discussion as a video in the event page. That's in the Together 2012 website, www.together2012.org.uk. Go to the Together 2021 Disability History Month Festival. So I'd just like to give you some of the comments. So there's one that says, "Thank you, Glory. Really enjoyed the story.
Yeah.
Try some chicken and chips later." Farah says, "Another amazing project, Act Uppers. You smashed it. You covered some amazing topics. Keep up the great work. My family and I enjoyed it thoroughly." Susanna says, "Glad I could hear the apartment story again. I came in later. Wow, all these stories." Tracy Surgeoner says, "Great work. All really enjoyed your stories. Fancy chicken and chips now. Lot of laughs." Joe Sands says, "Dear Stera, Glory, Jade, Pritesh, Grace, Pizer and Arwa, so nice to hear from you. Thank you for making me part of your daily worries and awful experiences." Yvonne says, "A very impressive show, all very different, all very powerful. A strong message for the Mayor of Newham, who seems to fail her citizens in many ways." Majika says, "I liked very much the film from Starrett and Merlot." Our chair, Julie Newman, says, "Thank you, Act Uppers, for sharing your postcode stories. They show very clearly how we as a people living in this borough have so many stories to tell." And we've also got comments saying, "I appreciate very much the personal and moving stories you shared with us. Well said, Pizer. It's not only the elderly, but also counting for other vulnerable people in the borough." And this is from Tina, "Really powerful stories of your own experience, and thank you for sharing these. I did love the bit where we got to look at the images too. It was a moment to go into our own imagination. Very interesting, and I hope many more people hear and engage with these stories if this is what you want to happen with them. Thanks for the invite." There's also love from Holland, and "Thank you, Act Up Newham. Great stories with such a range of issues raised, and excellent stories, everyone." I can't really add to that apart from to say a huge thank you to everybody at ACT UP, including, of course, as I know the ACT UPers would want me to do, is to thank Hannah, who...
Hannah, fantastic Hannah.
No, we couldn't do it without her. I'd also like to thank Chris Burrow from Burrow Interpreting for our British Sign Language interpretation, Norma McKay from Global Real-Time Captioning, the National Lottery Community Fund and Arts Council England for funding this, and of course, most of all, a big thank you to the audience. So get off now and watch the Bake Off final. Thank you very much indeed. And yeah, just thank you all so much again for sharing your work, ACT UP. It was great.